Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Welcome to Reganelite's Watch Along, episode 88 of the series here, where we watch and react to certain clips and videos online. Good to see so many people. I apologize for the delay. I'll come to why in just a moment. But normally we go about an hour and a half. I think we'll probably end up going past probably 9:30, maybe a bit longer, depending there as well. My apologies for the 10-minute delay. I'm just going to be straight with you because I'm not going to BS you guys in the chat for the reasons for the 10-minute delay. Dinner was very, very late today. That is the simple reason. And what I didn't want to do, and I'm sure you guys can understand this from a health perspective, I didn't want to rush dinner. And I wanted to take my time with it, understandably so. So that's the main reason why I was late. We're not normally this late with dinner, but we were quite late unexpectedly tonight, guys. And so that's why the live stream was delayed by 10 minutes, because I wanted to take my time eating it and I wanted to relax my stomach a little bit. Didn't want to rush up here or anything like that, because it's not good for my stomach, guys. And I'm sure anyone knows that rushing your dinner is not a good thing for your health. So I do apologize for that. Before we get into some other stuff, guys, I have, of course, in the description is, if you go into the link in the description as well, guys, you can see there's a link there about on what should we name our new duck mascot. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys now. If you want to cast your vote on the names that have been suggested for our new mascot here on the team, if you want to have a name, the names are already there, but if you want to cast your name, whichever one there that you like, there's a lot of choices there. At the end of Friday's live stream, I will basically decide. Basically, based on the poll, we will go with whatever name it has been, guys. So if you want to cast your vote on what we should name our new mascot, click that link and just cast your vote. Doesn't cost anything. Don't need to sign up to anything or anything like that. You just vote. That's it. That's all you need to do, guys. That is all you need to do. I should also point out as well, we also have the emoji now available as well, which I did earlier today, as I'll put a link again there. So it's if you are a YouTube member, you now get the duck emoji now. So duck is now part of the team. Sorry again for not getting that done sooner, but yes, you can now spam the duck emoji as well. Not just the usual gang, but now duck as well. But obviously, if you guys want to cast your name, the name you want to choose, feel free to do so. Not doing it? Why not, Mel? You got to put your name. You got to pick. You got to vote. You got to vote. You got to vote. In a democracy, you have to vote. It's very, very important that you cast your vote. Very, very important indeed there. Hold on a second. How do I close that? Oh, that's annoying. Okay, well, it's not going to be the end of the world, I suppose, there. I don't matter. Yes, you do, Mel. Your vote does matter. Don't be silly. Your vote does matter. Make sure you cast your vote, guys. Right, let's get started, guys. So before we get to the main stuff, this video blew up on there's this clip that blew up on social media literally in the last couple of hours, and I want to play it in full to you guys. You're going to hear this from a lot of YouTubers as well if you haven't seen it already, so I wanted to go straight into it, and I'm just going to play it, guys, and then I'm going to just share my thoughts, guys. This video, this clip is already is going to go viral for obvious reasons. So this is Jim Ratcliffe, co-owner of Manchester United, residing in Abu Dhabi to avoid paying UK tax. And this is what he said to Sky News.
And huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK is being colonised. It's costing too much money. It will cause...
It's been colonised?
It'll cause... Well, yeah. The UK is being colonised by immigrants, really, isn't it? I mean, the population of the UK was 58 million in 2020. Now it's 70 million That's 12 million people.
You met recently with Nigel Farage, didn't you?
I did.
Do you think that they would be a good government if they were to win the next election?
I think Nigel is an intelligent man, and I think he's got good intentions, but in a way you could say exactly the same about Kier when Kier came in. But, I think it needs somebody who's prepared to be unpopular for a period of time to get the big issues sorted out, would be my view.
So first and foremost, why the fuck does his opinion matter in any way, shape or form when it comes to politics? Why is he being asked these questions when he's a billionaire? You know, he's a billionaire. What does he know about politics? What does he know about the UK? And also, the guy lives in Dubai. He deliberately lives there as a current of Manchester United to avoid paying UK tax. What the fuck does this billionaire living in Dubai know anything about what's going on in the UK? By the way, he's already very much they're very much already hated in Manchester by Manchester United fans for what they're doing to the club. Anyway, what the fuck does this guy know about ordinary people and what's going on in their lives? And this language of colonized, what the fuck is that? It's just outrageous. It's disrespectful. It's rude to people who have come to the UK, who have contributed to the UK, who have made a life for themselves here in the UK, and using language designed to stir up hatred amongst people. That's what it is. That's what this language is, and it sickens my stomach. People like this who have no clue whatsoever, and I don't be surprised if I swear quite a bit tonight, guys. So I'm just giving you a warning now. It sickens me to my stomach that these fucking billionaires who don't know nothing about what it's like to be an ordinary person, who don't know what it's like here, him talking about, oh, everything is revolving around, it's because the UK has been colonized. Colonized? What? I just like colonized. Like the term makes it like it's people move around all the time. There's, obviously Jim Ratcliffe has his head so far up his own arse that he doesn't even realise the world and how the world functions. Isn't he technically a colonised Abu Dhabi by living there instead of in the UK? Isn't he not doing that? Like, what infuriates me just as much, right, is Sky News actually did an interview with him about politics. Why the fuck are you giving this guy a platform, a billionaire who is hated by its football fans? Why are you giving him a platform, a billionaire a platform about news and about politics here? Like, why? Why are you doing that, Sky News? He should not be given a platform here. And I would not be surprised now if we start seeing this fucker on GB News now, or on Right Wing Podcast or something, just to get his opinion, because he's a billionaire. So we obviously need to get his opinion because billionaires' opinions are very important. No, not the ordinary average person down the road. No, we have to listen to billionaires because they have money. Seriously, seriously, this guy doesn't know nothing about the UK at all, and using the language colonized just pisses me off so much. People like that really don't know anything about the UK as a whole, don't know anything about what it's like to be an ordinary person. They're frantically indulged in their own money, just living in their own bloody world. That's what they are, guys, living in their own bloody world. Right, so Keir Starmer, obviously the main topic of discussion today. So he's come out fighting. Well, that's what he wants you to think. Anyway, you can judge for yourself whether this is fighting spirit from Keir Starmer or not here. Mr. Ratcliffe is a parasite. Yeah, parasite is a good word to describe it. Yeah, he can sell his fair shares of Manchester United and fuck off back to Dubai. As far as I'm concerned. Anyway, let's hear Keir Starmer's fighting back, guys. He's fighting back.
How you doing, all right? It's been a busy week, but I wanted to talk to you because there are some people who say the Labour government should have a different fight, a fight with itself, instead of a fight for the millions of people who need us to fight for them. And I say to them, I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country.
You weren't given a mandate to change the country. You were given a mandate because we didn't want to give another one to the Conservative government. I don't know how many times people, we need to respond to this. Yeah, he was not given a mandate by the British public. He was given the votes by a lot of people. Again, not because people believed in Labour, not because they believed in him and believed in his party, but because people were so sick and tired of the Conservatives. I don't know how many times I have to mention this, but that context is really, really important. And good evening, Dave McGuinness. Hope you are doing well, and do check out his YouTube channel, guys. The two Davies' YouTube channel. Apologies, David McGuinness and David Mulligan. They'll be going live tomorrow at 4 o'clock. But also, Dave McGuinness also does a show on the channel at 10:30. So do join him for that if you can. Also in the chat is one of our moderators, Jao, who also has a YouTube channel. Do check out his work as well there.
And I will never walk away from the country that I love. I know that for you, what matters most is the cost of living. And I know that's what matters most from personal experience. I know.
I don't know from I don't know from his personal experience if he's actually been through that. If I'm what I'm going to say there, but one thing he is right about is dealing with the cost of living crisis. That is the one thing in this speech that I do agree with. That does need to be dealt with. But is he doing some stuff on it? Yes. Is he doing enough on it? No.
What it feels like to sit around the kitchen table worrying about the fact that you can't make ends meet. And there are millions of people in the same boat. Children in poverty. Young people who don't get the opportunities they deserve. Millions of people held back because of a system that doesn't work for them. And I'm fighting for them.
It's very hard to believe that, isn't it? It's very hard to believe that. Feels like you have been fighting more for Peter Mandelson than for children. I mean, it did take a long time for you to remove the 2-child benefit cap there. Just saying, I'm just putting that out there.
I am their Prime Minister. And this is their government. And I will never give up on that fight. But the fight coming up in politics, the real fight, is not in the Labour Party. It's with the right-wing politics that challenges that. The politics of reform. The politics of divide, divide, divide. Grievance, grievance, grievance. That will tear our country apart. That is the fight that we are in. And I will be in that fight as long as I have breath in my body.
Or they push you out. One way or another. They will push him out at some point. It's just going to happen here. Look, it's a nice little speech, there. A nice little clip putting together to show that Starmer's prepared to fight and whatnot. And I do think he is going to put up a fight between now and the election and all the elections coming up this year. I think he will put up a fight. But do I think he's going to be in there by the end of this year? Hell no. Do I think he's going to make it past May? Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. They're going to need to. They need to introduce some really fast policies. Really fast policies that are really going to appeal to people, and because right now people are really unhappy with them. But there's a lot of factors into that as well. So I want to share this, guys, because I think this is quite interesting here. This graph here. This is from Dr. Ian Ovington. He says, I can't help but feel, but given how Starmer hasn't broken the law like Johnson or tanked the economy like Truss, how much this reflects in part the extent of the UK right-wing media still holds sway over British opinion. Sure, he's an unremarkable MP, but the worst? Really? And I think that, you can just see from here, this is a poll from Ipsos here, months since becoming prime ministers here, and you can see all the different opinion polls there. Obviously, you got Truss there. Sunak, he went a bit down and then he had a bit up, and he's had some up down, but it was just dropping there. Other different ones there. I don't know which one was Boris Johnson there. But obviously, Tony Blair was always in quite a high percentage points according to Ipsos here. But you can see Starmer's always had a worst opinion poll. And how much of that is really down to his policies? How much has that been down to the right-wing media? Like, I'm not going to bullshit with you guys with my opinion. Do I think Keir Starmer's worse than Liz Truss? No. Do I think Keir Starmer is worse than Rishi Sunak? No, I don't think so. Do I think, yeah, that there are hands being played behind his back to benefit other people? Yes. I don't think Sunak was really did a lot for us. But I also think, yeah, that the right-wing media does a lot in terms of any time the tiniest of negative things are amplified by the right-wing media. And when it came to the Conservatives, it was not amplified as much. Because they were kind of normalising scandals in the UK under the Conservatives time and time again. He never felt that. 2 parents are working. My wife and I are on the minimum wage and we are well off. This is Dave McGuinness. Accepting some of the rules of free movement would allow the entry of millions of seasonal workers in the UK and solve the dying farming in the UK. But did he want it really, says Jow. Accepting all EU citizens to enter with their ID in the UK and not just the French would allow the entry of millions of tourists each year. Has he done it? He barely accepted Erasmus and a little more. How long has he been PM? Yeah, that's one of the other things as well. The thing is, the counter argument from his perspective is like, I don't want to upset the Brexiteers and the far right, and it's just like, well, they're not going to vote, and this is the point where they're not going to vote for you either way. So why appeal to these voters when they're not even going to vote for you anyway? Like, for me, there's no point trying to appeal to people on the right when they're going to stick with Reform or they're going to vote Conservative. They're not going to appeal to them. You're just not going to win them over. Like he said at Prime Minister's Questions, they've deported 60,000, over 60,000 asylum seekers since they took an office, right? Has that been mentioned once? Have GB News credited the Labour government for that? Do you hear that from the right-wing podcasters and YouTubers saying Labour have done more on asylum seekers and immigration than the Conservatives? Have you heard that from any of them? No, they've not said a shred of that. Because then they're not interested in giving credit where credit is due. They're only interested in scrutinising and bringing down this Labour government, rather than actually talking facts. Good morning, Steve McMorran over in New Zealand. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Arguing with Reform voters is a waste of time. Yeah, this is why he needs to change that language there. Pete's Music, Mandy, good to see you both there as well. Christina, good to see you there. Billy Kershaw. If I've missed anyone in the chat, I apologise. I don't think I've... Ellie there as well, just seen there. I hope you are all doing well. I want this. I like this clip so much from Stephen Flynn from Prime Minister's Questions. I felt it was worth sharing again with you guys. For those who didn't watch Prime Minister's Questions here. And I think... I don't really give a hoot really from the Prime Minister's answer here, but the question says a lot.
Mr. Speaker, if I've just listened to the Prime Minister correctly, he's essentially rolled the same pitch in relation to Matthew Doyle as he did with Peter Mandelson, that they weren't clear with him. He appears to be the most gullible former Director of Public Prosecutions in history. But he has a slight problem, Mr. Speaker, because some of us do read the newspapers. And towards the end of last year, indeed on the 30th of December, having written to the House of Lords Appointments Commission, I received a response from the Chair, who advised me that as part of their vetting, they provide confidential advice to the Prime Minister on the propriety of a potential nominee. Will he release that advice?
Obviously, he doesn't answer the question. But should he release the advice on that? I think we all know the answer to that question. Yes, but he's not going to. Or he's going to be pressured into doing so. But yes, why is the Prime Minister so gullible? And why won't he release the advice? Answers on a postcard, guys. There. Yeah. If he wants to try and salvage his premiership, he should try and give full and clear transparency and not show that he's hiding anything. However, Wes Streeting has tried to do that with his text messages, and it's kind of damaged his chances of becoming the next Prime Minister or the next leader of the Labour Party there. So I wanted to share this just to remind us of just the language that he used here in comparison in the past here. So Starmer said back in the day, I made the disciplinary procedures completely independent from me as leader. And here he is saying, I kicked Jeremy Corbyn out of the party.
One of the changes we've made under my leadership is to extract the leader from any of these procedures. It's an independent procedure.
I kicked my former leader out of my party.
Yeah, you know, says one thing one day and says something the rest. And yeah, you guys might have remembered the clip on Monday where I showed you guys the clip on Monday where Keir Starmer U-turns on so many occasions. The most you know, I think he U-turns more than Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson combined there. Not minimum wage, medium wage in Scotland. That is over £24,000 a year after tax. Thank you for sharing that, David. Finn is one of the rare British politicians, and he is a Scot that I like to listen to. I like to listen to him too. I just think it's, you know, with the way, what I don't like about the system is that, I said this at PMQs, but for those who wouldn't watch it, I think it's really unfair that political parties that have a certain amount of MPs don't get to ask a question, or that its leaders don't get to ask one question. Like, you got the opposition that gets to ask 6 questions, and then the third party gets to ask, the leader gets to ask 2 questions. But there are cases where the SNP don't get to answer questions, Reform don't get to answer questions, the Green Party don't get to answer questions. And in that case, I feel like that's wrong. Like, at least one Reform MP should get to answer at least one question. One Green MP should get to answer at least one question. Say with Plaid Cymru, with their, depending on how many MPs that they've got. Like, I do think every political party should get an opportunity to ask at least one question every week to the Prime Minister. And it's just because they don't have as many MPs as the other ones. I just think it's a tad bit unfair. That's just me personally there. But yeah, as far as this clip goes, obviously, you know, are we really surprised by this? Not really. Not really. So Ellie Chow's obviously pointing out why Keir Starmer needs to go, because obviously I like to always hear from a Green perspective here.
I mean, it's clear he's a man on his way out, and he should be. He should be gone. Clearly, Labour MPs have decided just not to kind of push him over the precipice quite yet. Perhaps they're thinking it's useful to have him there until after the Gorton and Denton by election, or until after the local elections, at both of which Labour are predicted to do really badly. But it's clear that he's a man on his way out. He's lost the trust of the country. In fact, he lost the trust of the country even before the Mandelson scandal. But now, having, you know, it being absolutely clear, he appointed Peter Mandelson knowing that he still had this ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I just think that for me is the big one there. The fact that that for me is still something that still sticks in my mind that we looked at last week, and it's like he knew, and it's just like he can say sorry as many times as he wants, but he's the Prime Minister, and he knew that relationship and still allowed him to allowed it to continue. And and it's not just, and just on top of that, right, Peter Mandelson literally said publicly that there was more to come. He was literally telling everyone, but the Prime Minister was just ignoring it.
The paedophile, you know, his position is untenable, and it is just a question of time. Yeah. All the time that this is going on, yet more Westminster psychodrama, people across the country are thinking, what on earth? Yeah. We want a government that functions, we want a government that looks after people, we want a government that deals with the cost of living crisis, and yet more scandal. It's just not good enough. And we're going to see, I think, in Gorton and Denton by election, we've got an amazing Green candidate there, Hannah Spencer. She is demonstrating what it really means to stand up for local people, to talk about the things that matter. That's the sort of politician we need in Westminster. And
if you want to know a bit more about Hannah Spencer, do check out her. It's just dropped on Zach Plansky's podcast. He's had a chat with Hannah Spencer there. I thought that was quite an interesting one. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but I was listening to it while I was having dinner. Thought it was quite an interesting one there. But I'm glad to see, as this is not the first time I've seen Ali Chow actually speaking on the media, and it's good to see a Green MP every now and then popping up, not just Zach Plansky, but other Green MPs popping up on the media rounds. We need to see more of this, because it's always the same political party. So it's good to see. It's good to see that there. I've noticed a distinct positive improvement in our Kier this week. It seems he's been released from a chokehold, and he now has more chispath, says Pete 10. Hi Pete, I hope you're doing well. I have to see there. Owen Jones here, ripping it all apart as well. Again, just reminding us that Peter Mandelson wasn't just ambassador to the US, he was one of the most influential figures in the Starmer government, a fact that was concealed from the British public. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know, well, you're going to know.
Peter Mandelson sums it all up. This guy was not simply ambassador to the United States.
No.
He was one of the most powerful figures in the whole Starmer project. And that fact was concealed from the British public. Just another example of the obsessive dishonesty that defines this government, so-called. He was the mentor of Morgan McSweeney, or more bluntly, McSweeney was his stooge. He was even at number 10 days before being sacked as ambassador, helping to design Starmer's reshuffle. What the hell, you may reasonably ask, was the British ambassador to the United States doing in number 10 Downing Street, helping to run the government? A reasonable question with no reasonable answer.
Yeah, because Keir Starmer obviously doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Clearly. So this is one thing that kind of, like, I originally thought that when McSweeney went, like, I thought maybe things will now get better. That maybe there'll be that perhaps you'll start to see some policies a bit more centre, perhaps some more centre-left policies, some sensible policies from Labour. But the more I've thought about it, and the more that I've read and listened to different viewpoints and whatnot, the more I feel like, well, he's gone, but there's always going to be people in Starmer's ear that have links to Peter Mandelson, links to Morgan McSweeney, and I just feel like, you know, that it's just, I feel like it's, unless Starmer goes, that's not going to change. But I've also said that once Starmer goes, the inevitable of a reform UK government, reform Russian government, or a coalition of reform and the Conservatives feels like it'll be ebbing ever closer once Starmer is sacked. Or he'll resign, but actually sacked there at some point. I wanted to share this clip here from PMQs for those who didn't see it as well, because this is the first time I've really seen the Prime Minister rattled. For those who didn't see it, like, he was really, really under the cosh here. And I thought it was the way that Ed Davey put it to him, I thought was very, very good. But you could just tell before he even stood up on the face that he did not like this at all. And unfortunately, he didn't really have any defence apart from attack the Lib Dems for their 5 years in bed with the Conservatives, which, of course, we can always remind them of that. That will never change, and rightly so. But it's not about the Lib Dems or Ed Davey. It's about you, Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, to appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint two shows a catastrophic lack of judgment. The Right Honourable Gentleman once told this House that when a Prime Minister refuses to take responsibility, and I quote, "It only serves to convince people that things cannot get better, that governments cannot improve people's lives, and that progress is not possible because politics does not work."
He hated this so much. I can guarantee, because of his reaction, he hated this humiliation so much.
Does he still agree with himself? And does he share my fear that that is exactly what is happening now?
Minister. People in this country, millions of people, have been let down for years and years and years. And one of the reasons was austerity, which his party supported. He should take accountability and take responsibility for what he has inflicted on this country.
That's the language, the tone from Keir Starmer was just he knew he was really rattled there, and it's a real hit nerver. But the reality is that Davey wasn't lying, and yeah, we can go back to the Lib Dems and what they did in their 5 years, and you know they've been we've beaten them, battered them down, and you know, Ed Davey, in my opinion, shouldn't be leader of the Lib Dems because of that time. No, I think it should. They really need a fresh leader, in my personal opinion. There, you know, Lib Dems are just literally there. But as far as this goes, well, he doesn't really have a response to this. So his only response is just a literary attack his opponents. So yeah, I just think that was just like really bad from his point of view. Hit a nerve, yeah, like all those poor folks at the self-delete when their mental health wasn't enough to keep them from working austerity. Yeah, and I spoke at PMQs about, like, you know, as much as like, you know, Kemi Badenoch can say all she wants, but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, her party did a lot of damage, did a lot of damage here. So this is, I'm going to share with you one of the most stupidest callers on LBC that I've heard. I mean, there's been a fair share of callers from LBC. But you can just see from the title of this, guys. So this caller, Dean, says he'd rather have Vladimir Putin in charge of the UK than Keir Starmer. I kid you not. But let's indulge. Let's just indulge in Dean's idea, guys. Let's indulge in it, guys. Yeah, Vladimir Putin instead of Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, okay? And I don't know, like, and here's the thing, right, before I even play this, right? I don't know how serious this caller is, right? But let's just say, hypothetically, this caller is serious, okay? If this caller really is serious. If it is serious, if this is a serious caller, this is once again an indictment of just how much people listen to too much bollocks from the right when it comes to what's actually happening in the UK as a whole. And it's a people who are just not paying attention to things that are going on.
I would much rather Putin in charge in the UK than Starmer.
Yeah, and that's where I think
I get that that's divisive, and I know that we disagree on that, Ben.
I don't think it's divisive, sir, and I say this respectfully. I think it's categorically insane.
So where do you want to start with this comparison between Vladimir Putin and Keir Starmer, guys? Where do we want to start with this, huh? Well, let's hear some of his points, yeah, as we go along in this insane call.
That you would rather be run by a man who murders his opponents and locks up and makes people disappear who say a bad word about him than a guy who accepted a free suit. I think that is off the scale, absurd, Dean. Respectfully.
Well, a free suit opens up the route to be corrupted or to be
bribed. All right,
bribed.
you don't think Vladimir Putin's in any way corrupt, do you?
Can I just remind people about when... So, one of the things Vladimir Putin did when he came to power in Russia, he didn't just take control. What he did was, he killed... and please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I'm pretty certain of this. When he came to power, he needed to seize control of the people who had the most influence in Russia, and that was the oligarchs, the billionaires, the millionaires, the ones with the wealthiest in. And what he did was he went to the wealthiest person in Russia and basically literally had him. And then he basically said to every single other oligarch in Russia, you do what I say and I won't sit and you won't die. You all give me money and I won't let you die. And essentially, they all basically bow down to him, and he's been in power ever since. Because he was willing to show that he's willing to make anyone disappear who tried to take him on. And when it came to politicians, they started eroding any kind of democracy within it. Anyone who stood up to him and tried to oppose him started disappearing. Protests were getting silent and more silent ever before. And then obviously we had the media getting controlled, taken over by the so-called right wing. Kind of feels familiar, like what's happening here with the media. You know, it's getting a bit more one-sided. The media, quite a lot of the media out there. You don't like. There's no media talking against Vladimir Putin inside Russia. No, none whatsoever. None. You can't say anything bad about Vladimir Putin in Russia, or you disappear. Like that's how. Like people in Russia are not allowed to say. Well, they'll only talk about the war in the benefit of Russia's special military operation. Like, I don't know how much more insane this is. Oh, and by the way, he basically invaded another country, foreignly invaded another country, annexed Crimea in 2014. You know, definitely, that's definitely makes him a better world leader than Kier Starmer, apparently. I mean, you could argue Vladimir Putin has more balls than Kier Starmer in the comments. I'm sure many people would probably agree that Vladimir Putin has more balls than Kier Starmer. I wouldn't be surprised if people would agree on that statement. But would you have Vladimir Putin over Kier Starmer? No.
Well, I wouldn't like to comment on that.
You wouldn't like to comment on whether Kier... So you think Kier Starmer is corrupt, but you can't possibly comment on whether Vladimir Putin is?
Are you
not my leader. Are you serious?
But let's look at it like this, yeah?
Are you trolling me?
Let's look at it like this. You got the chance. You got Rachel Reeves,
yes,
and Starmer both lied to the general public over the budget.
Yes, and Vladimir Putin always tells the truth, doesn't he, to his populace?
Well, I said
never
that
uses
last year
deception or dishonesty or propaganda. Vladimir Putin. He is a bastion of moral integrity. Old Vladimir.
This is why I'm just like trying to think what. I generally believe this. Why are you trying to make this comparison? Why on earth would you try to make this comparison? It doesn't make any sense to me why you would even try to make this comparison. Like, I could understand if you try to make this comparison between Vladimir Putin and Nigel Farage a little bit, or Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump. But this is Kier Starmer we're talking about.
Mate, he's got longevity.
He's got longevity, Dean, because he doesn't allow free and fair elections. There's no free press, and he murders his political opponents.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, it's not like he ever gives up his presidency. It's not like in America where they have two presidencies and it's like, I'm done, but you know, that's the end of it. No, he can be president for as long as he wants. And well, obviously that's about to change in America with Donald Trump, but you get where I'm coming from.
So if you think that's a sign
Starmer's cancelled elections as well.
Oh, what? In the same... Starmer's delayed them for a year.
Well, a delay is still a stop.
Don't make yourself look...
Starmer's stopping elections! Mate, okay, look. I accept, yeah, that there are elections being delayed and stopped and whatnot, but we know the real reasons why. Like, this is a guy who... This is one or two things. This is either a caller who clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's someone trying to position Kier Starmer as someone more worse than Vladimir Putin.
Look silly, Dean, by comparing Starmer to Vladimir Putin.
I mean, there's been a lot of stupid LBC callers, guys, but I think that definitely tops there as stupid callers. He should compare himself to a Russian peasant. You know, if he prefers, let me put it this way, guys. If you prefer Vladimir Putin to Kier Starmer, go move to Russia. Go move to Russia. Go move there, guys. Go move to Russia and see what it's like when you get there, guys. And don't be surprised within a month or a couple of weeks' time, you get called up to draft for the fight for the Russian army. Regardless of what your position is. Just saying. Just saying. Now, here's someone who is a defender of Keir Starmer here. So Tom Swalbeck here's from caller Kylie, who says that she's already seeing positive changes under Keir Starmer's government and wants him to stay. Give him a chance. As a voter, I'm tired. Okay, let's just hear her side. I'm sure her opinion is probably a lot more sensible than Dean was.
I am sick and tired of these MPs all the time calling out for this man to go. As a voter, I'm tired. And also, there need to be communication. You have issues. Don't put your laundry out. Go sit down with your prime minister. This is the issues. I'm giving you a time frame. Do your job.
I don't know what that says about...
Interest will go up.
Yes,
Living wage will go here. Wages, people are waiting for their wages. I'm an ordinary person, and I'm sick and tired of listening all the time. We need stability. Give him a chance. So a year and a half to run a government is very easy. Even a company, if you take over a company, it takes a year. When you start a company, the first year, the man inherited the worst economy, the worst everything, the worst. Huh?
And
I'll be honest with you, in Manchester, we are seeing changes. In schools, in hospitals, we are seeing changes happening.
Now, before I come to your super chat, Stephen, I've got to point this out here. Now, this is a caller from Manchester. Okay. Now, I really I really want to. I need to be blunt here. Okay. She is under a very, very good and very popular Labour mayor in Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham was already doing good things in Manchester before even the Labour government took over. I've got to be blunt about that. Okay. I'm not going to bullshit people around here. Okay. Andy Burnham was fighting tooth and nail to get certain policies, to get certain things from the Conservative government throughout his time before Labour came in as Mayor of Manchester. And he got a lot of things, and he was getting things done before even Labour came into power. And I've just got to be honest with you guys. Like, he was getting stuff done. He was getting stuff done for the people of Manchester. You know, she wants to talk about things that have improved in Manchester. A lot of that credit needs to go with Andy Burnham, with regards to that. Now, she's absolutely right in saying that when you take over from a Conservative government after 14 years and everything's been trashed, I said this when the general election happened. I said this initially when the things. It takes time to build things. I accept that. I've always said that. But there's also while I accept that, right, I do accept it takes longer to build things than it does, and then considering how easy it is to break things. However, while they have introduced some good policies and they have said some good things here and there, it's also worth pointing out they've made some fucking awful policy decisions that they've introduced for no fucking reason whatsoever, that was not in their manifestos, that didn't go anywhere near the values of what it means to be Labour, and they just it just baffled everyone. I mean, the one that sticks out to me more than ever is what they were trying to do to disability entitlements. They wanted to change it. They wanted to make it harder for people to claim entitlements, and they kept banging on about wanting to reduce the disability, the welfare bill, which they will never be able to do. They will never be able to reduce that bill. And not even the Conservatives will be able to reduce that bill. And they wanted to make it more harder, as if it's not hard enough for people to get entitlements. It's as if it's not hard enough. And they wanted to cut that. They wanted to make it harder. They wanted to make it harder. And this is the Labour Party that's supposed to be for the working people. The winter fuel allowance, when they U-turned on that. The inheritance tax, where they didn't talk enough to farmers. I've said this so many times under all the way up to this point. I said, before they introduce or give any ideas or policies, they need to talk to the people that it's going to affect the most. And time after time after fucking time, they never talked to the people that it was going to affect the most. They just came up with a policy that wasn't in their manifesto, that they didn't fucking bother talking to the people it was going to affect. And then when they brought it forward and they wonder why everyone gets ups in arms and angers about it, and then end up U-turning because they make themselves look like a bunch of fucking idiots because they don't realise that when you're in government, yes, you do have to make some policies and decisions that aren't popular. We accept that. I accept that. Hell, I'm sure people in Scotland can say, have the SNP ever introduced a bad policy? I'm sure they've introduced something during their time where they've made bad policies, but in the long term, it's probably beneficial to the people of Scotland. But you're not going to get everything right? But you have to talk to the people that it's going to affect. You can't just bring forward a policy and say, we're bringing forward this policy. And like, for me, it's really struck a nerve with me. The most that struck a nerve with me about the disabilities was they never talked to the organisations and the charities and the bodies and the communities that it deeply affected. Never talked to them. Never talked to them. So it's all well and good saying Labour deserve an opportunity to do things. And I accept that. But you are just insulting people by not even discussing your policies with the very people that you're going to affect. Whether people like it or don't like it, you have to at least talk to them. At least talk to them and tell them why you're doing it. And you didn't even fucking do that. You did it behind their backs. And you just brought it forward. No wonder people are fucking pissed. And it's not just the right-wing media. It's some of their policy decisions. And in tennis, they say unforced errors. And a lot of them were unforced errors. That's just the harsh reality. I don't want to change in Prime Minister. I don't want to change in government. I don't want to reform UK government, guys. I really don't. But we're heading in that direction. Because Keir Starmer has shot himself in the foot too many times. Never mind just this scandal. That is just a reality. The U-turns speak for itself. I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I've told you this so many times. I'm going to be flat out straight with you guys. Stephen Morgan, thank you so much for the 20 New Zealand dollars there. It's very kind of you. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to this, but I'm just going to be blunt with you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I'm going to be straight. You know, I really mean this. I want things to get better. I really do. I want people's lives to get better. But you've got to be honest about things. And you've got to be blunt about things. And Labour have not been that. They just haven't.
Next, Starmer, what does he do next? What he does next is he just looks out at the screen and says, shut up, because you voted me in 5 years ago. Wait for 29. Judge me then. Because he's doing the hard stuff. He's never going to be popular in the beginning. But when you look at how the media, combined with social media and foreign interference, that combination is what's pushing the agenda. I'll tell you how upset I am by yesterday. I rejoined the Labour Party yesterday because we need to stand behind him. The reasonable people, not the crazy leftists.
I'm not a fucking crazy leftist. Okay? I'm looking at what has happened since he's come into power and what's happened since then. I'm not some crazy leftist. I'm looking at things, and I've been blunt with you guys. I said, how many times did I say, like in that first 6 months to a year, right? I said, let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. I said, I want to give West Streeting a chance to do things for the NHS. I said these things. I said them. You can go back to previous live streams after they took over. And I said, you know, I want to see what they can do. I'm not jumping on this bandwagon that Labour are going to be terrible and this kind of stuff. I wanted to kind of see what they did. That's what I said. You can go back and see what I said back then. That's what I said. To imply that the likes of myself or, let's say, Big Mad Studios, Big Mad, for example, or No Justice, or Navarro Media, or people on the far left, if you want to call it that, if you want to say that their views have been wrong, I would say that's wrong. I would say you're in the wrong. It's just ignoring the unforced errors that they've done. Like, how about the Labour MPs that got kicked out because they wanted to introduce a 2-child benefit cap at the first King's speech. And then what happens 2 years? And what happens? Then they introduce a 2-child benefit cap. We're not crazy leftists. Yeah, I'm just following what Labour have been doing, what they have been saying, and making my own judgment. I don't consider myself. I'm not a Green member. I'm a fan of the Green Party, but I'm not a member of their party. But I'm not. But just implying the crazy lefties. They don't like. They hate. Labour absolutely hate that Zach Polanski got made the Green Party. They fucking hate it because the man actually speaks truth to power about a lot of problems that are happening. And they can't stand that. They can't stand a realistic person.
The reasonable people, and there is no alternative. There's no alternative to Starmer. He's dull. He looks like a man who's about to burst into tears all the time, but that's not the qualification for the job. Come on. And I'll tell you the other thing. His director of communications resigned the other day.
Yeah,
I thought he didn't have one from how badly they communicate. I'd have sacked the director of communications 6 months ago.
You have to have a prime minister that has charismatic, that has energy, that can interact with the youngsters. Keir Starmer is a prime minister of a time where you could be dull and boring. He's in the wrong era, basically. You have to have a certain charisma to yourself now. You have to. That's why Nigel Farage is so popular. It doesn't matter how god awful his politics are. A lot of people don't even know what his politics are. They just see him as somebody like an ordinary guy that kind of talks their language.
I don't think he's been there 6 months. I think he's only been there 3. So they kind of did, which in many ways makes your point.
And again, like 3 months, yeah. So, putting labels on top of the reasons why my stay in politics was brief. Local municipalities, I was too extreme. Well, F them. I would not be to lie to people. I hate lies and demeanor. I don't consider myself extreme left. I consider myself a guy with an opinion. And you can choose to accept my views or not. You can choose to disagree with them or not. And just don't insult me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I ask people. Let's hope there's still Ellie, let's hope there are still decent people in the UK. Well, I'm here, so there must be some decent people in England. There's plenty of decent people in Scotland, and there are plenty of them in the chat right now. Is this one even worth sharing? Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth sharing with you guys. A reminder that this is a man, a prime minister, and it's worth reminding of us this, guys. Like, this is a prime minister that has turned a blind eye to what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in Gaza, what is happening in the West Bank, and we must remind ourselves of that. I just saw footage today of another in the West Bank of more demolition being done by Israel here, and Hummer Yusuf says Keir Starmer is a decent. Someone saying Keir Starmer is a decent man. No, he's not. Again, is he really a decent man? No, because he knows what exactly is happening in the Middle East, and he's in with the Israeli lobbying group.
And last week, the PMQs, the Prime Minister started that he has never referred to the atrocities happening in Gaza as a genocide. Will the Prime Minister share his definition of genocide with this House? And will he state what further action he's prepared to take to save lives of desperate and starving men, women and children, given that we now hold the presidency of the United Nations Security Council?
It would be wise to start a question like that by reference to what happened in October of last year. I'm well aware of the definition of genocide, and that is why I've never described this and referred to it as genocide.
No mention whatsoever of the men the women and children who have died inside Gaza. No mention there whatsoever. No sympathy. No saying in any way, shape, or form that I have sympathy with the lives that have been lost inside Gaza. There's always casualties in war, or none of that. None of that at all from him. And this guy is a fucking lawyer. So, again, just have to keep reminding people of that. One person who is, I think, is a bigger idiot than Keir Starmer has to be the leader of the Scottish Labour Party, and his time is running out quite significantly.
Anas Sarwar thought that he would be the little boy up a mountain yodeling, and an avalanche ensued, and he didn't. He just ended up looking like a weird bloke making strange noises at the top of a mountain. But it could have gone the other way. One wobble yesterday, one high-profile resignation. Always a more courageous act, by the way, than calling for a resignation. Someone should have told Anas Sarwar that. Always, if you want to make a powerful point, do it in some way that jeopardises yourself. Demonstrate a little bit of guts, a little bit of courage. Say, right, I can't put up with this anymore, I'm off. But to just heckle from the sidelines your own team is absolutely, in my view, pathetic when you become a senior player, like the leader of Scottish Labour. Anas Sarwar.
Yeah. Like, if he really, really wanted Keir Starmer to go, he would have said, I can't support this Prime Minister, I'm resigning, I'm stepping down. How can I be a part of this party? But no, I will stand up and call out the Prime Minister in this party. Everyone else backs the Prime Minister, including the Welsh leader. Like I said before, and I said it again, Anas Sarwar is a very, very lonely man.
I almost never do. I'm going to do something I almost never do, which is to share a private conversation. That's because it's changed the way I am thinking about this political crisis, at least a bit, and because the person I was talking to, I'm quite sure, wouldn't mind me sharing it. That person was Keir Starmer. Now, I've always told you I think he is a thoroughly decent man, but also a leader now in terminal political trouble.
Well, we already discussed that he's not a decent man, based on the fact that he has no sympathy for what's happening to people, for the men, women and children in Gaza. But do carry on, Andrew Marr.
So I told him, and he looked me in the eye quite angrily, and he said, "You are wrong. I am going to prove you wrong. I am going to fight." The more Starmer's back is shoved against the wall, the more determined he gets. Okay, fine. But why does this matter? For this simple reason. It is far, far harder to remove a leader who refuses to go. The battle is bloodier, the damage to the party and the government is more severe, and therefore the whole calculation becomes different. About the depth of the trouble and the weakness of the government's position this winter, I have not changed my mind a jot. We are heading towards a reform government, and the victory again of the SNP in Scotland followed almost inevitably by renewed pressure for an independence referendum. The Prime Minister's position is not safe or anything like it. I think if he wants to survive with this current party, he is going to have to move to the left.
And that's the bit at the end I thought really quite resonates, the fact that he says that Keir Starmer needs to move to the left. Well, I don't agree a lot with Andrew Marr, and rightly so, for a lot of reasons. He is right in saying that if Keir Starmer wants to try and salvage, which is highly unlikely his position, moving to the left might be a good thing. But I think it's too little too late to him personally at this point. Undelivered by is owned by an Israeli symphonizer, all products related. Says 234. Rosemary, good to see you there. And 234, hope you're both doing well. Sorry if I didn't say hello earlier. The IDF enters the town, starts shooting everyone, and forces people to run away, then denies them food. But what is that but genocide? Yeah, I know. What's happening in Gaza is genocide, systematic extermination, expulsion of genocide. Where is the doubt there? We've watched footage we've watched footage on this very live stream of some of the devastation. I've said this before about Gaza. I've shared, for those who aren't aware of the clip that I talked about, I want to remind people of the clip. The one clip that sticks out in my mind more than any other in Gaza was where there was a woman who was walking in front of a crowd of people in Gaza. She had she was holding her son, not carrying her son, but she was holding her son's hand, walking along out in the there with a group of people not too far behind, but she was basically leading. She was holding a white flag of some sorts, and an Israeli sniper literally shot her dead, straight dead in the middle of the street. And the child ran back to the crowd, and that was it. And that image has stuck in my mind so many times. Right in front, a child sees their mother getting shot right in front of their eyes. That image that never left my mind. Diana makes some interesting points as well on everything that's been happening as well. I thought her views on this as well.
I can't see him lasting beyond May's election.
So why are they waiting until May?
Because they're going to be catastrophic elections, and I think the idea is let him stay in there and take responsibility.
Right, but I mean, if you're staring at a disaster, why do you wait for it to happen rather than try and stop it happening?
Well, it's not down to me. You need to speak.
No, I mean, but if that's the dominant mood, I'm just trying to understand it. I mean, you know these people. Why do you think they're thinking that way? Is it that the election losses can't be stopped no matter who the leader is?
Exactly. We're going to have catastrophic results anyway. That's why Anas Sarwar stepped up, because he doesn't want to see the Scottish Labour Party go down. So, you know, I think he may be moved before then, but I think he'll last until May.
Doesn't this look like a bungled coup, though? I mean, Anas Sarwar stood up and was left hanging. I mean, nobody else joined him. I mean, he's the guy who went over the top by himself.
As you may have noticed, I'm not Scottish. I can't account for what Anas Sarwar does. But I can tell you that the man and woman on the Stoke Newington High Street is really disgusted that Starmer signed off as somebody to be our ambassador in Washington, someone whose best friend rapes 14-year-olds.
10-year-olds. We've learnt. Not 14-year-olds, 10-year-olds. New light of information has come to. So it's now 10-year-olds, for those who aren't aware, which is pretty despicable to say the least there. So I wanted to share a little bit of, for you guys as well, a little bit of... do I really have to share her? Yeah, I need to share her because it's Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi was at the congressional hearings, and I want to share a couple of clips from them with you guys. Going over to America for a little bit here. So there's a couple of different ones here I want to play with you guys, play for you guys here. I want to start with this one here. So Aaron Rupar, he catches some really great clips. He also... if you're not on X, or if you're on Blue Sky, you can follow him on Blue Sky as well, because he posts the same clips as well there. And I want to start with this one here, where he details death threats that he and his wife and children have gotten, and points out the DOJ has refused to prosecute some of them, right? And this is simply, and I can absolutely guarantee you that if he was a Republican, they would have responded to this much more thoroughly, okay?
The president has inspired death threats against me and many sitting up here with me. In June 2025, an individual left 11 voicemails at my district office. On the voicemails, they said, "Get the message to him. I'm gonna hunt him down, that motherfucker, and toss his ass over the Golden Gate Bridge by my fucking self." Donald Trump's Department of Justice in the Northern District of California declined to prosecute. On May 14, 2025, on Twitter, responding to something I posted, an individual said, "No, it wasn't Eric, and now I'm going to kill you." The Department of Justice from the Southern District of Texas declined to prosecute. May through December of 2025, we received messages at my office that said, I hope somebody shoots you and your children and your wife in the head. Pew, pew, motherfucker, pew, pew. I would stay indoors as much as possible, and my children, unfortunately, have to do that. The Department of Justice has not charged this individual and cited that he's a prolific caller and has health conditions, although what we have found in our own investigation and his voicemails is that he has said he will employ others to do this.
Before we even hear the rest of this, how can anyone be a politician and be expected to do their job when they are getting threats like this every single day? Like, and someone, you can just say, well, this is the norm, or you can argue that maybe some people don't mean it or whatnot. But some people are so stuck in their minds about you have to be one side or the other. If you're on that other side, you're the enemy, you're the threat, you're evil, and all this kind of stuff. Like, you can, like, what happened to just agree to disagree? Why does it have to be, oh, we've got to kill him because he's a Democrat? Like, what is, for me, it's just wrong on so many levels. Like, I know there are some people who would like nothing more than to shoot Donald Trump. I've heard people on the left say that. You know, some people to want him to disappear because of the damage that he has done. And I'm going to be straight with you guys because, again, I don't bullshit you guys. I don't want that on him. I don't wish that on him at all. You know why? Because I'm not a fucking terrible person. You know, I may hate the man. I may not like what he does. I hate his policies. I hate what he's doing to America. I hate that he's destroying everything and anything that makes America great. But do I want to see him murdered and gunned down? No, because it's against my morals. And that goes to as any of these Republicans, regardless of how I feel about them, because it's just wrong. There needs to be accountability here. You can't just, like, for me, it infuriates me so much that the Trump administration and all their stooges in the Department of Justice and others get told these things, get seen these things, get shown these things, and they don't do nothing simply on the basis that they're Democrats. They're Americans too, just like them, and they forget that. It's the United States of America is supposed to be for all American citizens, not just Republicans and MAGAs. They forget that. And you need to be reminded of that. These are human beings too, with lives, with families that are being disrupted. And again, you could disagree with a Democrat and their policies, and I do too. But people who call for their heads or call for them to be killed or any way, shape or form, whether it's via an email, whether it's by a tweet, whatever it is, need to be held accountable. Both here and anywhere.
The president can come after me. It's fine. I'm in the arena. So are these folks. But we never expected that the Department of Justice would not seek to prosecute and investigate those who are making threats against us. And that would include those on that side of the aisle. And I'm just asking for your help to protect life, because life is at risk with the environment we're in right now.
Congressman, I completely agree with you. I know about several of those personally involving you. I believe one has been charged publicly, and there's something I would be happy to talk to you about off camera, but I can assure you that they are very serious. They are being looked into, and I can give you more details on those. None of you should be threatened, ever. None of your children should be threatened. None of your families should be threatened. And I will work with, you can come into my office any day. I will work with all of you on both sides of the aisle.
You're a fucking liar. You are saying this because the camera is on you right now. You are a fucking liar. I don't buy for 1 second on this. Time and time that you can literally see it in the tweet. I don't trust this woman one bit, and neither should any of you.
If you are ever threatened, and I would I'll gladly talk to you after this hearing about your cases, but I can tell you some of them are very active.
Appreciate that. Now yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and we're sorry for what the gentleman and his family have had to go through.
It's nice to hear a little bit of unity, but I really don't buy the fact that the DOJ is going to do enough for this. But yeah, because I don't trust Pan-Body and I don't trust the DOJ because it's under the Trump thumb. But in a very serious point, I really do hope that the rest of those who did make those threats are held accountable, because they need to be held accountable. They really, really do.
California.
Great, thank you. Madam Attorney General, you acknowledged earlier to Mr. Johnson that President Trump was mentioned and the release countless times, you said, in the Epstein files. I just want to play a video, though, for you that I think speaks to the frustration that many of these victims have. Of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at
we have
least be 1,000
released
times?
every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can
so
characterize the numbers however you want it.
I'm claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
means
It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number.
I understand why the victims are frustrated, and the Attorney General acknowledged what Mr. Patel would not acknowledge, that it was way more than 1,000 times. But I want to move, Madam Attorney General, to weaponization of government. And
Pretty much basically proves that Kash Patel lied under oath. And is he going to find any accountability for this? No. But I don't know. I didn't watch the whole hearing. But as far as I was aware, Pan-Body at no point turned around and looked at the victims in any of this, by the way. But I just wanted to point that out, that, you know, Kash Patel is a fucking stupid FBI director, probably one of the stupidest FBI directors they've ever had, because I don't think he does anything at that role. Bondi lies shamelessly. When he was elected overwhelmingly by the American people, the majority of American people wanted Donald Trump. Of course, Trump has never forgotten the majority of the vote.
Continue. When he was elected overwhelmingly by the American people, the majority of the American people wanted Donald Trump. One of the main reasons was border security and keeping Americans safe. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, it's not going very, very well, to be fair there. And of course, yeah, they didn't get the majority of the vote. He won the popular vote in the last election. Yeah, he did. He did win the overwhelming voters. But did he get like an 80-60? No, it wasn't like that. There. Hank Johnson here. So it's been reported that there were 1,000 personally assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Trump's name from the Epstein files. Is that accurate? And Bondi says, I believe his name has appeared countless times in the documents. And then ask again, was the reports accurate? Of course, Pan-Body not going to directly answer the question, because that's what they always do, guys.
Bondi, it's been reported that there were at one point 1,000 personnel assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. Were those reports accurate?
I believe his name has appeared countless times in the documents
how
that
many
have
people were
been released.
assigned?
If I could finish, I'm going to read you the stats.
I just simply asked whether or not it was true that it was 1,000 folks who were assigned that task. Were those reports accurate?
There are more than 500 attorneys and reviewers. I cannot give you an exact number.
And I wanted to ask you about that also, because this is a different question that you're getting to now. There were 500 DOJ lawyers and others assigned the task of redacting the appropriate information, including identities of the Epstein victim survivors from the Epstein files prior to their release. 500, is that correct?
If I could have finished my answer, there were more than 500
Talk about fucking rude.
attorneys and reviewers who assisted with the. They
That
asked
answers
the question and they don't want an answer.
That answers my question, ma'am, and I'm going to move on.
More than.
I'm going to move on.
From
General
multiple
Bondi,
districts.
would you
It will be in
agree?
order.
This
Time
is
the
ridiculous.
time belongs to the gentleman from Georgia.
She see, this is her playing. This is her consistently like playing down the clock and whatnot. The sound of hatred lives in her. That is true, Vicky. There's a lot of hatred in her, indeed. So John Brendan, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but this is the former CNN reporter who has done absolutely nothing wrong. This was the guy, I'm pretty sure, please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I'm pretty sure this is the same person, I'm not going mad. But this was the former CNN reporter who's basically a freelance reporter. He was at the church, he was at a church a couple of weeks ago where there was a protest at a church, and he was basically reporting on it. And basically, they tried to spin it that he basically was a part of it here. So Jim Jordan, the chairman, basically asked if he was going to be indicted, which she doesn't really give a straight answer on that, which is kind of like, well, the problem is that they don't really have a leg to stand on because he hasn't done anything wrong.
Committee in the country, Congress in the country, like to know if Mr. Brennan is going to be indicted.
What I can confirm is that we have received a referral from you, Chairman Jordan, to investigate John Brennan. His attorneys have made some public statements, but the department is still bound, of course, by our longstanding policy of not discussing matters. What I will say today, I can't confirm nor deny whether there is a pending investigation, but what I will say is no one is above the law.
Mr. Chairman,
Weaponization has ended.
Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for a point of order.
If we want to know whether Mr. Brennan will be indicted, you should just ask the president.
Not a point of order, but...
Yeah, just ask the president. Just ask the president, guys. Just ask the president. Jim Jordan, obviously, I'm not going to play that one as a waste of time. This is a very good one. Again, just want to point out just how vile and evil these people are. This is a very good one from Colden to Bondi here.
When they killed Mr. Prete, and Miss Good, that was an execution, and you did not investigate it. And you tried to investigate her, Miss Good's widow, and you tried to investigate Mr. Prete. They were executed like Kristi Noem executed her dog. And that was wrong. And you should investigate those people, and you should investigate anybody that uses a weapon, in federal official or not, for civil rights violations. I yield back the balance.
Gentleman yields back.
Not that she's going to do anything about it, but I'm glad that was kind of thrown in her face as well. I thought that was really, really important. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. Bondi is slammed as she attacks Democrats and tries to downplay Epstein as a distraction from the stock market. Yeah, that's right, guys. The stock market. Jordan's a waste of DNA. That is true.
To release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
Sorry guys, I just have to laugh there because if I don't laugh I'm just gonna cry. Oh my fucking god. Donald Trump is the most transparent president in the nation's history. Well, golly guys, I don't know about you, but I think that's a fucking lie.
And none of them ask Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over, the Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now.
Yeah, guys, because the most transparent president in the nation's history, the Dow is doing well, guys. It's doing well.
The S&P at almost 7,000, and the
What? I'm just going to point this out, guys. What the fuck has the stock markets got anything to do with the Epstein files? Just pointing that out there.
NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe.
Yeah, and what better way to make them safe by not talking about the Epstein files, not talking about the victims, or not talking about those who are dead in the dirt at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and all his co-conspirators and associates as a part of the biggest cover-up in human history, one of the biggest scandals of our lifetime, where so many people's lives were destroyed. And girls as young as 10 fucking years old who were raped. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Obviously, let's talk about the greatest country in the history. No, fuck you, Pam Bondi. Fuck you, and all your people. Yeah, because I want to talk about the Epstein files. Because I want to talk about these victims and what they've been through, and I want to hear their stories, and I want to hear them get the fucking justice that they have been waiting to get for too goddamn long. That's what I want to talk about. And one thing I will say categorically is that Democrats should hang their fucking heads in shame because they did not act on this when they were in power. They should have acted on this in power, and they absolutely deserve to get bashed on the head for not acting on this.
We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year.
It doesn't reduce the price of milk, which everyone wanted to see reduced. He said he would drop the price of milk. What's the price of milk now, guys? Someone tell me what the price of milk is now. He said that groceries would go down. Prices would go down, guys. But no, guys, the Dow is doing well. That's what really matters. Like, you couldn't make this shit up. And then this shameless one. My fucking God.
They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election.
There was Russian interference in the 2016 general election. There was. But you don't want to talk about that.
Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it.
I'm going to put my head more firmly up Donald Trump's arse because clearly my head is not far enough off it. But carry on.
All they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law.
Yeah, Donald Trump, was kind of pressured into it. Yeah, and again, I want to make it clear, she's absolutely right about the Dems, though. I'm not going to argue about that, though. This is where she gets rattled here. Last one here, and then we'll switch up to one or two other clips. I'm going to go a little bit longer, guys, because I did start late here. So Pam Bondi appears to have just committed a federal crime by lying under oath here. Ooh.
done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock. Please stop the clock.
The legislation. This is
I'd like to reclaim my time.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just...
Talk about a potty mouth. You see, she's talking tough now, but when this Trump administration crumbles, and it will at some point, she's going to pay a very heavy price for this kind of attitude. She will.
Lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
It's done.
Yeah, and here she is saying that Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing, and yet literally he just pulled up a piece of the Epstein files showing him doing something there. Couldn't make this shit up, could you? Dear, oh dear, oh dear, guys. Shall I go with that one? No, let's go to... I've already covered that one there. Is that one worth covering here? And just seeing what other clips is worth sharing with you guys. Just to remind ourselves here. Actually, before I go to the one or two other clips, I'll just have a come and look at with you guys in the comments there. She's bonkers. Yep, that's definitely it. Good to see you, Roger Devine. Hope you're doing well. How dumb can one person be? Apparently, she is dumb. Your president sold your AI chips to the Saudis and sold them to the Chinese and anyone wanting them. Yep. I can't believe the whole room isn't laughing or groaning. I'm pretty sure the victims behind her are really angry, are feeling a full all sorts of emotions right listening to that all. I feel sorry for the victims being there. That's who I feel sorry for. Whereas the AI bubble is the only thing sustaining the American economy. China and Europe are moving at light speed, darling. The USA is growing a bubble that will be 10 times worse than the dot-com bubble. You're going to Botox in heart's blood. So she's selling her soul for the Dow. Yes, she's selling her soul for the Dow there. Yeah, she's selling her soul for the Dow. And we're selling our souls to Platineer, apparently, guys. We're selling our souls to Platineer. This is the Labour government trying to justify this.
Dave Dougal. Mr. Speaker, this is yet more extraordinarily poor judgment on the part of the Prime Minister to meet personally with Palantir, a highly questionable organisation complicit in the ruination of Palestine and the devastation being wreaked in the US by ICE. Palantir are into the United Kingdom taxpayer for £500 million, half of which is uncompeted. We should be concerned about Palantir full stop. We should be concerned, in addition, about a direct award. We should further be concerned by that company being a client of Peter Mandelson and then a meeting with the Prime Minister for which apparently there are no minutes. When will Downing Street come up with a confirmed position on whether there were or were not minutes taken in that meeting with Mandelson?
As I've been clear to the House in a number of answers, we will continue to have a security and defence relationship with the United States.
We're not talking about the fucking United States. We're talking about Platineer. The question was about Platinier. The question was the transparency that we have between the Labour government, between Platinier and its association with Peter Mandelson, who is associated with Jeffrey Epstein. That's the fucking question. The question isn't about the relationship between the US and the UK. The question is about Platinier, and you should be answering the fucking question.
It is in our national interest to do so, as a party that takes defence and security very seriously.
So seriously that you don't even fucking bother being transparent about the contracts that you have with Platinier. Or the talks that you have with them. Yeah? You're taking me and everyone who's watching a bunch of fucking idiots. And I'm glad that there's growing resentment about Platinier. There's been protests today, I think there was, and there was protests yesterday trying to disrupt them. And I'm glad there is. And I hope the disruption increases and continues. Because I want fucking answers about them. I want to know more about what they're doing. And we should have more answers about what they're doing. And this government should be open and transparent about what they're doing. Because these are the same fuckers who are supplying weapons and arms to Israel. Who are using to kill children in Gaza, in the West Bank. As well as targeting Lebanon, where there's supposed to be a so-called ceasefire there.
Something I hope his party would do more of in the thing. Although I have much respect for him, I will continue to make sure that we get the best services for our armed forces as we move to war fighting readiness. I've answered the response about minutes. That will be for Downing Street to publish in due course.
Basically, you're not going to fucking answer the question, is what you're saying. Labour will not be honest about the contracts that the Conservatives signed with Platinier and that the Conservative government signed with Platinier, as will this government. We need a transparent government to go in there and find out these contracts and find out everything they possibly can on them. It makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, this one's worth sharing with you guys. So, I think it was yesterday this happened. So, Reform Russia launched their Jewish Alliance Party. However, it didn't exactly go as perfect as they wanted to, guys. So Jewish activists heckled Nigel Farage during the launch of Reform UK's Jewish Alliance. I quote tweeted and asked when Reform launching the Palestine support group, which I haven't got a response from. So I did ask Nigel Farage that, but he hasn't responded to me, guys. Hopefully he'll let us know when because obviously he wants to be equal here, surely. But anyway, let's enjoy this disruption that they got.
The Torah says to love the stranger, for we were once strangers in Egypt.
My ancestors led pogroms to incite their refugees.
Let him speak.
Grandmother didn't fight the Moses fascist in Cable Street for this. An attack on one minority is an attack on all, I'm right. Please get out. My grandmother, you were support her. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. You piece of shit.
I mean, I appreciate the disruption, fair play to them, and they don't represent Reform UK does not represent Jewish communities, in any way, shape, or form, and it's just an appeal to the Israeli dogs, just like for them to basically say, we will succumb to you once we come into government. You don't have anything to fear from us. That's exactly what this clip is, guys. That's exactly what that clip is. So I wanted to share this before we go to I've got one or two good and funny stories to see ourselves out, guys. But I wanted to share this last important one here because I do think this is do I want to share that one? No, I think this one's worth listening to. So I wanted to share this from Politics UK here. I don't know if they've got a YouTube channel, but if they do, I would recommend subscribing to it. As far as I'm aware, they only have Twitter and maybe other social media. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but if they do, I would recommend subscribing to them if they do have one. But I think it's about 3 minutes long, but I think it's worth listening to. So they ask questions to Gorton Denton voters about the upcoming by-election there. One person says, I'm leaving the country if Nigel Farage becomes PM. Another says, how have they got that power? How can they block Burnham? Isn't it a free country? One person says they're stuck between choosing between Green Party and Reform. So let's have a listen to see what some viewers on the ground are actually saying here.
Nigel Farage as Prime Minister. How does that sound?
I'm leaving the country.
I think, personally, that it's been bought out by probably the Russians.
All the rest of them skirt around, don't answer the questions, and you just get sick of hearing them.
Do you feel like things are getting better or worse in Gorton and Denton?
It's gradually worse, but I feel like it's not a massive difference.
I think it must obviously be getting worse because the whole country has been getting worse. And you can see in terms of the failure of the law enforcement, the two-tier, the injustice, the lack of fairness, and the economy.
I'll say a bit of both. There's some good sides to it, there's some bad sides to it. There's stuff happening right now in politics, it's quite complicated.
What's your reaction to Labour blocking Andy Burnham from standing in this constituency?
I don't know. Andy Burnham, I like what he does for Manchester, so I don't know, I'm a bit torn about it because I think he's very good for what he does in the north, and I wouldn't like to see him go elsewhere, to be perfectly honest.
I think it's disgusting. How have they got that power? How can they block anybody? Isn't it a free country with, freedom of speech? We know a lot of other countries don't have that. We're still supposed to have it, but we don't. Having worked in local government for a long time, too long, I know exactly what they're like.
From Labour's point of view, I think it's a good view because they'd have lost. And it just shows that they don't have enough quality in their 300-plus Labour MPs to have a good rival for Keir Starmer. So that shows you that the quality of their MPs is just missing, their patriotism is missing, and they're just not serving the country.
Do you think Keir Starmer needs more time, or is his time up?
I think he's done. I think he won't be elected.
Especially the younger generation, they're coming more, not extreme, that's not the right word, but more, they want change immediately. And I don't think if he stays this neutral for so long, it's going to work in his favour.
Well, I think, the reason why there's so many youngsters are turning on him is because they don't have... and I think this is a really important point. The youngsters these days, they don't have the same privileges that their fathers and their grandfathers have. They don't have the benefits of them. There's a lot of youngsters who are working, sort of young people will say this, they're working the same kind of jobs that their parents and their grandparents are working the same kind of hours, if not more, with partners and whatnot, and they're not earning anywhere near the same kind of money that they used to earn. They're not able to afford a decent living. They're not able to be able to afford a cost of bills and all that kind of stuff. They're not as better off as their parents are. That speaks a lot there.
I think that a lot of people forget that it was 14 years of the Tories' mess.
Thanks for it, Joe. Appreciate you looking.
And he's trying to unravel that. And they've basically just given over a year, maybe 2 years, whatever, to try and get that sorted out. It's going to take a lot longer than that.
Who do you think you'll be voting for in this election? Will you be voting at all?
Probably not. I know it's a wasted vote. I've just got to the stage where I think I don't want to be responsible for putting another idiot in power.
This is the problem. A lot of people feel that way. I just don't blame people for feeling like that. I don't blame people for feeling like not wanting to vote when they feel so dejected, and more that percent. I remember, I think the last general election they said it was the highest number of people who did not vote as well, and that number is going to grow. It's going to grow, which is not good.
I'm stuck between Green Party and Reformed.
None of them really appeal, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like they all work for their own interests. I don't feel they represent.
At the minute, neither of the main two parties really appeal to me. In the past, I voted Liberal Democrats, Green, so it depends what each one is saying when it comes to the manifestos, I guess.
Probably the Green Party.
Nigel.
So you got one person there who's at least going to say they're going to vote Green. You got one person who's kind of undecided. You got one person there who's likely to vote for Greens, maybe Lib Dems there. So didn't really get a sense from that. A lot of people who were appealing to reform. It's worth pointing out as well that Hannah Spencer and Zach Plansky have mentioned that while they have heard people talking that they're going to vote reform in the Gorton Denton By Election, they've not heard barely anyone talking about voting Labour, is what they've said that since they've been doing their campaign. Obviously, there's still plenty of time to see how it goes, but I do think that's quite a bit of food for thought there for sure. Right, guys, because obviously I'm going way too long. I know I'm going way too long. I do apologise, guys, for going way too long. But I did want to share one or two funny clips and a nice, good, warm heart story to see ourselves out. But for those who didn't watch Prime Minister's Questions, you're going to enjoy this clip here. This is funny as hell. Just listen to what he says and watch where his eyes look, and you'll understand what happens here.
Rubbish is building up right beneath my very nose. It's becoming...
Easy, Tiger.
It's rubbish is built.
What he says next is, it's becoming a problem. Oh, you can't tell me that wasn't funny. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That one's going to take too long. I would play that one. That one's just going to take too long there. Oh, Jesus. Oh no, I can't play that one. That's too long. And no, I'm going to save that one. I'll let Darren Daily Blase play that one on his live stream. That one actually. I'll just stick with the one. We'll do this last video now before we see ourselves out. So, guys, I want to share this very nice, warm-hearted moment. BBC Yorkshire shared on their Twitter account. I think this is absolutely adorable. It's nice to see. It's not often that I share a good news story on these live streams, and we've looked at a lot of clips, a lot of dark and doomy stuff, but there's also sometimes a reminder there is good in the world, guys. There is good in the world here. So 85-year-old Colin has loved foxes his whole life and was granted a final wish at the home where he received his end-of-life care. What did he get, guys, at the end of his life?
Have a look in that cage, Col.
Oh, gorgeous. Aye. We asked him. We thought we'd bring a fox to you. Good boy. It's all right, sweetheart. Good boy. Good boy.
You're going to tell Les what your nickname is?
Fly Fox, isn't it?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Silver Fox.
Yeah,
To me.
he's,
Yeah, that's my
he's,
Just settle a bit now.
yeah.
Absolutely lovely. Man who's loved foxes all his life, and at the end of life, he gets to pet a fox there. I think that's an absolutely lovely. What a lovely, lovely story to end the show on, guys. Indeed, I hope you guys loved that ending there. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came from the start all the way to the end of this live stream. Sorry for starting late. And thank you for staying a bit longer. If you have, I really do appreciate it. I know some people have trailed out because it's getting late for some people, so I do appreciate people coming out. Thank you, Stephen Moore, for the super chat tonight. Because as you guys know or may not know, I don't ever monetize my live streams ever. So any super chats or gifting memberships all do help towards it. So thank you, Steve, for that there. Again, do check out the link in the description if you want to and have your vote and say on what the duck should be named. Our new mascot, by the way. Which, by the way, if you are a YouTube member, you can now use the duck emoji in the chat as well. So if you want to have a say on what we should call the duck's name, make sure you cast your vote. Voting ends on Friday there. Link again is in the description. I've also put the link on Discord as well, and I'll remind people of tomorrow morning as well. So thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever you guys are doing. Again, just a reminder, I'll be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another Good Morning Show. I'll also be back live tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the Eco Flake Show, myself and One Angry Pagan. But just before you run out, if you can for me, please hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't to already. You can also check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on that platform. And thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.